being played.
I'm into him and she's into him. He told the guys, I can't trust these bitches.
We do have some clips here for the trailer for the rest of the season. We got an extended trailer at the end, so we're gonna start reviewing them and going over them and giving our predictions and seeing if we can spot anything. I feel like these trailers really do give a lot away if you pay attention. So since we'll be pausing throughout each clip, we'll be able to get a lot of tea here. So definitely stay tuned if you want to see what happens. Let's take a look at our first clip. They're sailing the sea.
What more could two best friends ever want than to travel the world, fall in love, and experience the best moments of our lives together?
Okay, I see Paris, I see Amsterdam, I see wedding dresses, I see the boat. Allison, what are you excited about this season?
Yeah, I'm excited by the travel. I'm excited by the cruise ship. I think logistically the cruise ship makes sense. Then like people, you really don't even have to like repack your suitcase. Like you can just all travel as one big unit. Excited to see the two of them. We've touched on this before, but I just feel like now that, you know, we're reminded of the travel aspect and we're seeing them do all these like press tours and stuff for the premiere, like this is probably usually a very lonely experience for one person to be doing by themselves. So I'm glad that they have each other to lean on, to share this with. And yeah, I just want to see someone being dismissed or sent home in like the middle of the ocean, and how do they get them off the ship? Do they have to stay on the ship?
Me too.
Do they get a helicopter? Do they get a little boat? Like where do they go? Yeah.
They get a raft and they go into the middle of the ocean and they get lost at sea and they never come back, and then they end up in the Bermuda Triangle. Of course that's gonna happen. I was actually wondering, I was like, because I remember Nick Viall was talking about like the arrangements of like the travel and everything last minute with two bachelorettes. So I was wondering, are they sharing rooms? They're bachelorettes, they're adults, they deserve their own rooms, but what if they want a slumber party? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe they'll share some rooms together, like when they're traveling, and do some separately.
I don't think they're sharing
they'll
rooms.
definitely have separate. Yeah.
Well, maybe they want
Because,
to a couple nights.
But then they can have like a sleepover if they want to. But like they need their own space, especially if they're liking the same guy, because at some point, you know, they're gonna have. Maybe we're not gonna see it, but they may have a little bit of hard feelings inside. Like, I don't want to ruin it because we're gonna see it. But there's a moment where Rachel's probably feeling. You guys know what I'm talking about. She's not going to want to be in the same room with Gabby after that moment. Well, everyone will know what I'm talking about when we see it in a second. But
okay, well, then let's keep rolling the clips. Our next clip is showing some first dates and some curveballs.
No one has any idea of how this is gonna work, so we're figuring out things as we go. We have decided we are gonna switch partners.
Jason A. I remember when we were reviewing it, I had like the biggest crush on him, but he was nowhere to be seen last night. He did not get more than a minute of camera time, but we see him on a double date with Jason A., Gabby, Rachel, and Tino. Now, Allison, you made a comment in the beginning of the live about we don't really know how this is going to work. What did you kind of mean by that?
I just think the structure of it, and we're seeing the clip right here, the structure of, do they go on a group date together? Does Rachel have a group date and Gabby has a group date? Do they swap like this? Is it 2-on-1 but like a 2-on-2? Like, it's just the structure of the dates themselves. It's kind of unprecedented, plus the cruise ship element. Like, we just don't know. And so I think this is a really interesting idea, especially because if we have this kind of 2-on-2, you know that, you know, Tino was Rachel's pick. And, you know, it's like, you specifically, it's like a 1-on-1. You know who you want. So to flip it at this point, I don't know how far along in the season they are, but if I were Rachel and I knew how much I liked Tino, I'm not sure I would want to see him like kissing Gabby and going off and exploring Europe with Gabby.
Yeah, they said they're going to flip, but it's probably just like a test. It's probably one of those like games. Like, of course, like you can even see the chemistry in this picture between Rachel and Jason and Tino. Rachel and Tino and Gabby and Jason. There's so many names. Allison and Blakely and Zach and George. I mean, come on. So this is cute though. I'm like, when I saw this, I was like, this reminded me of when I studied abroad and like how fun it is to travel with friends and like eat at a cafe. Like, it's just a fun group date. Like they're literally like living their best life. Let's keep watching.
I have something to add, Zach.
The season. Yeah, let's share it all.
what I was going to say is I don't think that they're going to do these 2-on-2s unless it's clear, unless the men have made it clear that they're here for a specific woman, because this would just be really like sticky and messy and could be really bad if they're doing this 2-on-2 but the man isn't clear who he wants to be. So I only see like a situation like what we're looking at right now being successful if they know for a fact which man is here for which woman. So that's what I'm thinking about. This situation is probably like how they would have to do it. The other thing about this promo is we're not seeing a lot of dates that are abroad. So typically I feel like when you see the abroad dates, you know, okay, these people have made it so far. Like you said, Allison, we don't know the timing of these, and we also can't tell the timing because when did they leave for the cruise ship? When did they get to Paris? When did they get to Amsterdam? It seems like almost everything is abroad, so we have no idea if this is right in the beginning or if one of these men makes it to the end. Like, it's really difficult to kind of predict what the rest of this season looks like just by this promo because they're all abroad.
Yeah, I mean, usually they film the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes at the mansion before they travel. Yeah. So we can assume that they made it to the first stop at least, which could be Paris. But let's keep watching because the guys, they could end up actually having some control over the season, as we were talking about. The guys are going to have to decide if they want to pick Rachel or Gabby to pursue.
Will you accept this rose?
I'm sorry. I am going to have to decline the rose. I'm sorry.
It's okay. This is not supposed to be like this.
So that's so sad. That was definitely at the Bachelor Mansion. Because we know where the first rose ceremony was. So my prediction is that the guys decide at the mansion right before they travel, are they going to move forward with Rachel or Gabby? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Allison, how do you think Rachel's going to deal with this? What if 14 guys pick Gabby and only 10 pick Rachel?
I mean, you can see it from an objective perspective of like, if they don't want you, if they're not choosing you, like, who needs them? Like, blah, 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 blah. But it's also like, if you were in that moment, that's humiliating. And that's so, it's in front of all of the other guys, in front of Gabby, like we were talking about, this is why they need separate accommodations. You can be friends with someone, but if you are really into someone, they're like, no, actually, I think your friend is hotter. I'd rather go on a date with her. You need some time to process that. You can't just go back to being buddy-buddy. It's like, that's horrible. And so I almost wish there was a way for them to establish this. I mean, I know it's a TV show and we need drama, but this poor girl, hasn't she been through enough? We found her on the stairs with Clayton. She's now getting rejected in front of all of these men. Justice for Rachel.
What if it's editing? What if 3 guys reject Gabby and we're only seeing this in the trailer? You know? We never really know. But she does look like she's breaking down, and that kind of sucks, and that's sad. But I mean, I think she's gonna get a happy ending anyway. There's just gonna have to be a few bumps along the way. Let's keep watching. We do have some more clips to go through. Gabby and Rachel, could they fall for the same guy? That's the biggest question. Let's take a look.
Both women are being played.
I'm into him and she's into him. He told the guys, I can't trust these bitches. It's just like validating all my fears.
I'm into him, she's into him. Blakely, who do you think they are talking about?
I think, basing it off of the first night, it's either Eric or Logan, because weren't those the only 2 who spoke to both Gabby and Rachel from night 1? And honestly, from Eric, the mullet man, I was getting F-boy vibes from him, because he was so... I thought his connection and his conversation with Gabby was exceptional. Like, they had really great body language, their conversation, everything just made sense. And I was like, instantly, I was like, okay, he's with Gabby. So when he said he wanted to go feel things out with Rachel, it kind of surprised me, only because I thought that his connection had just right off the bat been so strong with Gabby. But I understand, you know, you want to kind of feel it all out. Then he wanted the first impression rose from Rachel when he saw Rachel grab it. Then he wanted the first impression rose from Gabby, and then he expected the first impression rose from both of them. And I'm like, okay, this man is playing the field, which makes me sad because I felt like him and Gabby had such a strong connection. So Mullet Man is giving me those vibes.
I mean, some of these guys need to worry about getting 1 rose, let alone 2. Shout out Ash Talks Batch on Twitter. That's literally what her tweet was last night, and I quote retweeted it. But it's true. I mean, some of these guys are, they can't feel too entitled. You got to work for one. Let's keep watching because it's going to get a little messy when Jesse confronts a contestant.
Things have obviously taken a turn. Yeah. What do you want to do?
I need to tell her this full truth.
Okay, that was Zach. Allison, set the stage. Where do we think this is? This looks a little late in the season.
I know. And I had a feeling we would be seeing something of Zach, or he would be an important player because he was the first one out of the limo. As Blakely said, he had that kind of cute entrance. He forgot to say his name. But it's a known fact that the first person out of the limo isn't always the actual first person out of the limo. There is editing. And typically the person who comes out is someone we'll see again. So who knows? This could be something really dramatic. This could also be something, we've seen contestants in the past, if they have a family struggle, if they're, we saw Michael A. leave because his kid really missed him. We've had people with deaths in their family that need to step out. So it really could be anything. I think it's interesting that Jesse Palmer is part of this conversation because I don't think he would need to be part of something like a family tragedy or like an emergency like that. So I don't know, but then there's so many tears. I don't know. I'm up in the air of if it's something like really crazy and dramatic that could like affect the whole thing, or if it's just something that Zach's going through personally.
It's giving fantasy suites. It's giving I'm sending myself home. It's giving I'm breaking up with one of the girls and I have to tell them, whichever one it is, and I'm crying and I'm going home. I think that he's going to leave himself. That's just my prediction based on this clip. Blakely, what are your thoughts?
And now it's hard to even make predictions because we have this whole added element. Well, is he leaving one girl for the other girl? And he's crying because he feels really bad about it and he doesn't know how it's going to be received. It's like now with with the double leads, it makes it so hard to kind of decipher what exactly is going on.
Double the deciphering, double the options. Let's keep watching. Our next clip is going to be some of the guys having a difficult time choosing between Gabby and Rachel.
I just don't understand. You change your mind? What's going on?
I still have feelings on the other.
So this is Logan. He says, I still have feelings on the other side. Does that mean in real life, back home? Do you have a girlfriend back home? Or do you still have feelings for Rachel? Because he's talking to Gabby. And this is kind of what you were saying, Blakely. So, Blakely, continue. What do we think he's saying?
Other side to me means Rachel. I think it's
what about you, Allison? What does that mean?
Yeah, I agree because I don't think he would phrase it like that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Rachel. I think he would, if it was an ex-girlfriend or someone random, he would have just said like, I don't know. The way he phrases it makes me seem like he's tiptoeing. And the only reason you would really tiptoe is if the woman you're interested in is like aboard the same cruise ship.
Correct.
But, like, is it maybe the thing is, like, what if the Jesse and the producers are like, you have to pick, like, as we were talking about, like, you have to pick Rachel or Gabby now. What if they're forcing them to pick a side prematurely, where we saw, Meatball Man and a few other people turn down Rachel's rose so early on in the season? That was the Bachelor Mansion. This looks like a travel situation. Like, that's not fair for the guys to have to pick, so soon if they're not ready to pick. They're still exploring the relationship. So maybe that's not fair to the guys. That's not fair to Logan. He might not know. So maybe that's why he needs to continue to explore.
Well, and clearly, I think that he's not going to be the only one that's continuing to explore. And this has to be something that they've talked about and that they knew that they were going to run into. Obviously, talking about it and actually living it is two very different things, and the emotions that arise are completely different. Like, you can prepare yourself so much until you're literally in the moment of it. And I'm not sure if we've already seen it yet from Rachel, but she says something to the degree of like, the men are the ones that have the power, but like, it's not supposed to be that way. The leads are the ones who are supposed to have the power. So I don't think Logan is alone in flip-flopping who he wants to be with, because they use that plural, the men. So it feels like there's going to be more instances of this.
Well, let's keep watching, because if there's one thing about Rachel, she's going to give us tears. She's going to break down. She's really emotional. I feel like they're gonna make her cry on the stairs again. Like, it's gonna be the thing all season. When she gets engaged at the end, I want to see her get engaged like on the stairs. Hopefully to Tino. I feel like they're cute. But let's keep watching.
I'm such a failure as a Bachelorette. I don't want to do this anymore. I would rather be alone.
It wouldn't be the Bachelorette if they didn't have at least one breakdown. We've seen it every season, right, Allison?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this isn't even the most dramatic we've seen by far. Like, let's go back to Colton jumping the fence. Come on.
Or Katie, like, running away, like, I'm done, and then locking herself in the bathroom. Like, it's a ritual. Didn't Clayton do something crazy, too, where he was like, I'm done, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. Like, they all do it. They all do it.
I loved your, I love how you just imitated him with the deep voice. I'm done, I'm out of here.
Did he not do that? Blakely, give me one. Give me a Clayton.
Oh, I don't even know. I can't give a Clayton. Allison, you give a Clayton.
Why are we judging Zach? He had the best one out of all of us.
You're right.
You.
We don't even need to go.
Okay.
I wasn't judging. I was appreciating.
Yeah.
Me and Blakely appreciate each other. Allison,
Susie.
you might be new here, but we are all friends. Yeah, she's crying though. It looks like she's really sad. Hopefully Gabby is there to pick her up and make her feel better, because that's what they're there for. Because Gabby's going to have some doubts as well, though. Is she going to be able to help her if she's hurting herself? Can they bond over that again? Let's take a look.
What if I'm not ready? Why did they pick me to do this? I don't know what to do.
Aw. One of the things Gabby said on the press tour that they've been doing is that it's going to be like parallel dating, which I guess is like more towards the end. So I'm wondering if they really do separate Rachel and Gabby like during a few episodes, and then they only are allowed to like talk to each other once every few days. Can you see that happening, Allison?
Yeah, just because the scheduling is so crazy. And if you're going off, it might not even be like intentional, like we're keeping you from each other. But if you're going off to different parts of a city or a country and filming your own respective group dates or one-on-ones, and then you have to go and do your ITMs and do all this stuff, like a lot of leads have talked about how little sleep you get to begin with because the scheduling is so crazy. You wake up super early the next day, you do more glam, you do more interviews, you go on more dates. So unless they schedule in time for a scene like this where they can sit down and really just talk it all through, I'm not sure I would have the energy at like 2 a.m. to knock down Rachel's door and be like, hey, you want to like gab for an hour even though we have to get up at 5?
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, but when you say ITM, just for everybody watching, those are like the confessionals, right? When they're talking the kind of the headshots?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Cool. To clear that up.
Which is my favorite part of every reality show is the confessionals. I love the confessionals. Get super sassy. That's where you say how you feel. It looks like they're comforting each other. You can see that Gabby is the one that's hurting more here and Rachel's comforting her. So it's going to be nice that they can support each other, but it definitely makes me believe my prediction that they probably can't talk every day or they won't have time, like Allison said. So there's going to be a lot to discuss. And maybe they don't want them talking off camera, having those sleepovers, because they want everyone to see those authentic moments. You know, what they do on like Housewives is sometimes they don't let them talk unless they're on camera, so that the viewers can actually understand and see them solve problems and talk things through. So it seems like there's a lot of built up, emotions, and they just need a friend to vent to. So that's what's happening here in Amsterdam. We have one last clip. Will the journey be worth it? Let's take a look.
This journey, finding love together, it's messy. I just hope that for both of us, it's worth it.
It's worth it. Okay. Final thoughts, final predictions. Will it be worth it? Allison, why don't you start?
I think it will be because we've seen these seasons end in so many different ways. Getting engaged, getting married, having babies, getting engaged, breaking up, just giving a final rose and not getting engaged. And, people can find success or have it be worth it in various different ways. I think even Clayton has talked about his season. Like, he was really put through the ringer online, like with viewers, with fans, for how he treated them. That was not an easy experience. But even he was able to kind of see the positive of that and say, I've grown in these last few months more than I have in the last few years. So I think even if it is difficult and really emotionally draining, and even if you get a ton of backlash online, hopefully once your season's done, or whether it takes a few months afterward, you can see the benefits, whether that is self-growth or, you know, a bunch of travel or getting to know yourself better. Like, there are other ways of it being worth it that are beyond an engagement ring.
Agreed. And by the way, they're traveling with each other to Paris, to Amsterdam, to the cruise ship, jumping into the whatever we saw Gabby dive in with somebody. You know, I mean, if there's one takeaway, it's that you got to travel the world and with your best friend, you know, I'm not saying they're not, but that's the term that they're coining for the two of them, you know, with somebody that you're really close with. At the end of the day, like, that's a pretty awesome experience as well. And hopefully you're finding love at the same time. And, you know, the downs are worth the ups.
It'll all be worth it for them. You know, we see it every season. There's always challenges. You can't appreciate a happy ending if you don't see them go through hardship throughout the season. So I have no doubt that it will work out for them. But we also didn't see any, you know, clips of like a proposal or a ring or an ending. You know, usually they kind of flash at the end, you know, those types of scenes. So I feel like we got a lot out of this trailer, but there also is a lot still to see. And we'll be here every week talking about The Bachelorette, so definitely let us know your thoughts, your comments, or your predictions in our comment section down below. And make sure you guys are subscribed to our channel, ring the bell so you're always updated and notified. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, with Allison Van Dam and Blakely McHugh. You guys can follow us on our socials, which are on the screen right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a lovely day, and we will see you later. Bye.